You are listening to the Movement Therapy Podcast.
Hello, welcome back to another episode of the Movement Therapy Podcast. Thank you so much for joining in. Zoe, how are you going?
I'm doing well, thank you, Ethan. How are you?
Excellent. Yes, very good. Today, I'm excited. We're doing running. I know how much I love it.
Are we going for a run or are we talking
No,
about
we're going to talk about it.
Okay, happy to talk about it.
We're going to break it down.
Great.
Awesome. So we're going to be moving away from injury and pathology for a minute because we've had a couple of heavy weeks on back pain. So we're going to really leave that alone. And I think since COVID, there was a massive uptake in running, especially in Wollongong and the Illawarra. Personally, I've seen a lot of injuries with running.
The rise of the run club.
The run clubs are out there. Everyone wants to get into running because it was the only thing you could do during COVID. So that was one of the main ones. And I've seen a lot of people coming into the clinic not for injury purposes, but just to retrain their running. And I think this is a really good opportunity to start to just break down some common myths and just answer some questions about what running is and how to run correctly and how to run well so that you actually enjoy it. Because I must say...
Might almost get me into running.
I was going to say, you don't love running.
I don't love running.
Why don't you love running?
I've just never done it in an enjoyable way, I guess. I think, growing up and playing a lot of sport, running and, going for runs was kind of used as a bit of a punishment sometimes.
Yeah.
So.
Every time you did something wrong at training, it was always sprints or extra runs. And I must say, I didn't love running about sort of 5 years ago. And I was just the one that would go for a classic 5K, 6K, trying to sort of flat out get my, raise my time every time. And I wasn't progressing and it just wasn't fun.
Were you getting a lot of kudos?
I was getting a lot of kudos on Strava. I think that's what ruined it for me because you cannot run without tracking it. I remember one time my watch stopped and that was horrendous. But I actually changed my training when I was training for a half Ironman. Just dropped that. Name there.
So everyone knows. Even actually did a half Ironman.
So this is a couple of years ago and I really needed to maximize my running efficiency because I was training so much. So this is where I needed to swim and cycle. I was also playing tennis at the time. Some say doing too much, but I needed to maximize my running so I didn't get injured, but also progressed in my Ks and my pace. And I changed sort of everything about it and I was doing a bit more research into how to run and I was talking to people and changed it and I actually really enjoyed it. And it was, I progressed my pace and speed really, really easily.
Nice.
So this is the idea that we're going to do. The focus today is really break it down and simplify running from the perspective of technique. So we're going to do this in a little bit of a series again. We'll be diving into how to start becoming a runner.
Okay.
If you're not already a runner, Zoe,
Give me a few tips and tricks.
We might inspire you. That could be fun. And then how to progress if you're already a runner. And at the end, I'm going to actually be issuing a little challenge to one of my current clients to see if we can have some real life results.
Can I just confirm that current client of yours is not me?
We'll see at the end of the podcast series. Tune in and see if it is actually Zoe who's going to go for a run. But let's, I just want to sort of overview the information that we're going to be talking about today has been developed over a collaboration many years with a few really highly regarded professionals in the business. I've spoken to chiros, physios, podiatrists, so a couple of local ones. Tim Branson owns the Wollongong Podiatry here in Wollongong, and my good mate Tim Pargeter, who's actually living in Albury at the moment, has given me a lot of my information on running has been through those two. So
and he's got a podcast, doesn't he?
He does have a podcast. So his podcast is called the Foot and Ankle Project, and his aim is just to debunk a lot of myths and give a lot of information about foot and ankle issues and injuries. He breaks it down really, really simply. So if you're looking for any foot and ankle information,
Tim's your guy.
Jump over to Foot and Ankle Project. But it's a combination of also treating a lot of people with running injuries, but also experiencing running and changing my running training for myself. So
cool. Sounds good.
Dive in.
Let's get into it.
So we're going to start off with the main areas of focus. So when I say sort of changing technique, I'm not trying to make everyone run like a textbook or like a specific, model that has been created by AI to say this is how you should run. This is just a guide to see what things we can change in order to improve efficiency. So this is if you're running a park run, training for a marathon, doing a half, Ironman, triathlon, whatever it is, we need to maximize our efficiency. So efficiency is just how you can achieve a goal with the least amount of effort exerted.
Right. Okay.
So it doesn't matter if it's time, distance, speed, whatever it is, we want as little effort as possible to achieve that goal.
Cool.
So we're just trying to keep it super simple. I want to talk about 3 distinct things. So this is posture, tone, and elasticity.
Right.
So we're going to break out each one individually. But I've also done a little Instagram video on the Movement Therapy Instagram page about just some little tips and tricks that you can do for each of those things. They're only little quick videos, but it's a way to try and, just to practice it for yourself.
I think a visual aid can be a lot
It helps.
more helpful than us talking to a mic and figuring it out.
Exactly. So I'll try and put it in your head, but visualize this. The first one is posture.
Yeah.
So let's think about posture from the perspective of your head. And I only want you to think about it from your head. Don't think about anything else.
Right.
All I want you to think about from posture is put your head on your shoulders. Now that sounds weird because that's where your head is.
Yep.
But if you think of running, a lot of people lean forward, a lot of people look down to their shoes or up to the sky. You want to make sure your head is on top of your shoulders.
Right.
And your body does the lean naturally, which it will do if you're running forwards.
Okay.
So you want to think head on shoulders and you want to look at sort of about 5 meters in front of you, roughly.
Right. So not at your feet and not up at the sky.
Yep. Because it's just really uncomfortable to do that and puts a lot of pressure on your neck. That's it. That's posture.
Great.
Super easy.
Super easy.
We're going to make this as easy as possible.
Tick that one off.
Now, tone, a little bit trickier, but I want you to think of tone as the resting level of tension in your muscles.
Okay.
So think about when you're just sort of relaxed, the resting level of contraction of your muscle is your tone.
Right.
Okay. So the level of activity of a muscle that you're not using.
Okay.
So if you've got a really high tone,
Wait, hang on. Yeah.
your muscles are doing a lot and you're not using them, and they shouldn't be. That's inefficient.
So it's kind of like the tension of your muscles when you're just relaxed. So when you're sitting down on the couch, if you think about all your muscles while you're sitting there on the couch, the tone or the tension of that is just the base tension.
It's just the level of activity when you're there. So if you kind of picture it, if you're lying in bed and all your muscles are really on and working, that's inefficient because you're trying to relax.
Yeah.
So it's working against you.
Okay.
It's the same as running. So let's go from the shoulders and the arms perspective. From the shoulders should be relaxed. Okay. So your shoulders should be as far away from your ear as possible. They don't love each other. Runners can often get shoulder pain, this sort of nervy neck pain on the top of the shoulder. If any sort of runners out there, they kind of know what I'm talking about. It's a pretty common one. And this normally, there are other factors, but this is normally to do with too much tension or tone around the head and neck and shoulders.
That's definitely something I get when I'm running.
And no one likes that.
No, it's not fun.
Which is why a lot of people stop running because of pain. Now, if we go down to the elbows should be I say sort of loose 90 degrees in quotation marks. And for anyone listening, I did the air quotations with my hands for no particular reason. But the elbows are not rigidly held there.
Right.
So they're not really tense. They're just at a loose 90 degrees, but they're not flapping around. Yeah. Yeah. And the hands and fingers are relaxed and they're moving almost parallel to each other. Okay. So do it wherever you are if you're not in public. It's a really weird thing to move your arms strictly parallel to each other. So that's because of the shoulder joints are actually turned in a little bit. Right. So the arms move slightly, about 10 degrees off center. But essentially what we want to try and make sure that the arms do is not cross the midline. Right. So we talked about that center line straight down through the body. Yep. Don't let them cross it and you're great. Again, it's an efficiency thing. When your arms move across the midline, they're actually pushing you sideways. And you're trying to go forwards, hopefully, when you run. So this is inefficient energy usage. Okay. So posture, tone and tension. That's our first 2. Elasticity. That's the last one. Right. This one we're going to spend a little bit of time on because it's the main one that we can change and have a big sort of effect on. But I'm going to talk to you about cadence. Okay. So if you've ever come to see me about running or wanting any running correction, I would have spoken to you about cadence before. What is cadence? So cadence is the number of steps you take per minute. Okay. So simple as that.
Right.
Now, at baseline, the higher it is, the less bone stress you'll put through your body. So the less ground reaction force.
Wouldn't you put more bone stress through your body the higher the cadence?
So you would think that, right? The more times your foot hits the ground gives you more
Yeah.
bone force. But if you think about the individual foot hitting the ground, that ground reaction force is less with the higher your cadence is. Just trust me on this one for a second. Now, there's no golden number of steps per minute that you need to hit. Again, it really depends who you talk to about this. There are a few professionals out there that have a number that they sort of want you to hit. But overall, the consensus is the higher it is, the better.
Okay.
What we can agree on also is that whatever your cadence is now, if you make it quicker, it's better.
Right.
So I'm going to give you a little bit of an analogy here. If you have some floorboards at home or around, you can give this a go. I want you to so just YouTube a metronome or get a metronome app on your phone and set it to 140 beats a minute. And then run along your floorboards, matching your steps with the beat, and listen to the sound your feet are making. Okay, so that's going to step 1. Step 2 is then change the metronome to 180 beats a minute and do the same thing and listen to the sound of your feet.
Can we pause and I do this and come back?
Let's do this. So we just had a little bit of a pause and Zoe gave it a go.
It was
What do you reckon?
difficult, but it was hard to match the beat, but I definitely noticed how much quieter my steps were and how much more springy I felt.
Yeah, cool. Yeah. And that's exactly what that test is designed to show you, that when your cadence increases, your feet actually become lighter and springy. There's less vibration traveling through your whole body because of the less ground reaction force going through each step.
That's what I did notice.
Yeah. So another test, if you don't have a long space to run, is again set the metronome to the same numbers. So 140 first, and see if you can just bunny hop on 2 feet.
I'm not going to try this one. I'm going to believe you this time.
Don't try this one. But bunny hop on 2 feet to that beat, and then change the metronome back to 180. And you should actually feel that doing it at 180 beats is actually easier, even though you're springing more times. You might get fatigued quicker, but the actual process of doing it is quicker because you're springing on your feet rather than jumping at the 140. So there's fewer joints actually being used. Well, mainly your hips and knees aren't being used at that 180 beats to create force. It's all mainly at your calf, and the calf complex takes over.
Right.
And that's the efficient spring.
Okay, so having your calf complex take over in the stride is what makes it more efficient.
Yeah, exactly. And the calf is super strong and can absorb a lot of force. We'll talk to that a little bit later. But the main thing is keeping the muscles that are designed for super strong power movements away, like the glutes and the quads and the hammies, and mainly taking the calf and letting that spring your foot.
Great. Easy.
So I want you to separate cadence from pace. Right. So the problem is when I say to someone, can you try and increase your cadence? Normally they just run faster.
Okay.
Which is an easy way to increase your cadence. That will always happen. But you can't sustain that speed for long. So my question to them is then, okay, what happens when you slow down?
Yeah.
Because invariably, when you go for a run at the start, you're not going to finish as quick as you started. You're going to slow down a little bit.
Yeah.
Because you're going to fatigue. So the important part and the thing I need you to focus on is you've got to maintain that cadence while you're running slowly.
Right.
So that's the hardest part about cadence is to maintain the same cadence while your pace fluctuates.
Yeah.
And you might not notice that your pace has actually changed because it's going to go down slowly unless you're doing interval training. So you might not notice, and then suddenly you've dropped your cadence back from 160 to 140. And then you're running inefficiently and using joints too much, and you might therefore get more bone stress issues and other issues in your knees and ankles and that sort of thing. So that's the main thing about cadence. The second part with cadence is that we want you to run quietly.
Yeah.
Now, I'm going to use that floorboard analogy. If you are running that along the floorboards and your feet are slapping the ground or your heels are really heavy into the floor,
just then.
I'm not saying anything. But if you're running like this constantly, you can imagine how much force is getting put through those bones. And you'll probably feel it. And you'll feel the force vibrating up into your back and even up into your shoulders and neck.
Yeah.
So the force should be absorbed through the joints way before it gets up to your knees, hips, back. Predominantly should be absorbed through your foot and ankle.
Okay.
And it is if you're running efficiently. Now, if you normally run with headphones in, and say that's a majority of you, and normally say you're listening to the Movement Therapy podcast while you're running, of course, it's an easy listen. My first suggestion is to take your headphones out and listen to your feet and how they hit the ground and how slappy they are. And then, of course, obviously after that, finish the episode of the Movement Therapy podcast that you're on when you get home. But the goal for this would be to try and make each step a little more quiet, a little quieter when it hits the ground.
Right.
When I'm talking about cadence and posture and tone, I don't want to make huge changes.
Yeah.
So it's all about the little things. We change the 1%ers to then have a massive impact.
Yeah, so it's the small tweaks to an individual running style. It's not a one-size-fits-all kind of thing, but when you can tweak those 3 different parts in an individual way for each person, it can just make your running so much more efficient.
And that's a really good point, actually. All of this should be individualized.
Yeah.
So if you have a play with this yourself, but if you are struggling or need some more information and need it to be actually tailored to you, then please come on in to the clinic. And obviously, we'll have a look at it and we'll do an actual assessment and have a look at what we can change for you. These are just general guidelines. They're definitely not rules or set in stone by any stretch. So we've got posture, head on shoulders, tone, shoulders away from your ears, arms not crossing midline at a loose 90 degrees, and elasticity, make your cadence nice and high.
Perfect.
Easy as. Now, a lot of people coming into the clinic, they'll be looking at the world-class marathon runners.
Yeah.
And they'll sort of not compare themselves to them, obviously, because they're elite class. But
I think when you see someone in a world-class marathon, like in the Olympics, you kind of look at it in a way of, I can run, not thinking about how much they train, how they train, or how they've tailored their running style to be efficient. You just kind of look at it in an objective way of, they can run, I can run.
Yeah.
Everyone's had the thought of buying a ticket to do a half marathon or a marathon at some point.
I think especially after COVID.
Especially after COVID and with the rise of the run club. I think sometimes even, for myself, you have to remember that unfortunately I'm not an elite marathon runner. So I'm going to have to, there's a little bit of a difference between the way I run and, people here run.
The word is elite. When we compare elite to the recreational runner.
Yeah.
I'd say personally, and I've treated very capable athletes, but they're still recreational runners.
Yeah.
So when we go to the elite, these are the guys that are doing it for their job and they're doing it as a professional sport. But 100% of the people that I've trained to run or kind of have come through the clinic have been recreational runners. And there is a massive difference between these runners and elite marathon runners.
Yeah.
And elite track athletes as well. So the main difference is that these elite runners are sprinting.
Right.
So it's a weird kind of thing to think about because they're marathon runners.
Yeah.
But they're actually sprinting. So if we break down the numbers, I'm gonna throw some numbers at you for a minute, and I hope my maths is right here. But the world record for the male marathon is 2 hours and 35 seconds by Kelvin Kiptum. And the female world record is 2 hours and 9 minutes and 56 seconds, which just got broken in the Chicago Marathon by Ruth Chetnigetich. And that actually made her the first woman in history to run under 2 hours, 10 minutes. So that's a huge feat.
So break that down for me a little bit because it sounds very impressive.
It sounds good, but it doesn't really mean anything, right?
It's just, Yeah.
So if you are a runner, this is going to make sense for you for the next bit, and I'll break it down even more for non-runners. But this breaks down into a pace of about 2 minutes 51 seconds per K over that 42K for males and 3 minutes 4 seconds per K for females.
In my brief running journeys, I would be overjoyed on the moon with about a 5-minute pace.
To be honest, I don't think I could run 1K at 2 minutes 51.
Oh, God, no.
I'd struggle. It would be ridiculous, and definitely not 42 of them.
No.
So if you are a runner or you have done running before and you know what a pace is, the minutes per K, let that sink in. It's super fast, and you should be astounded by that number and probably not surprised. But if you're not a runner, I'm going to break that down even more so we can sort of get a sense of how fast this actually is. Now, this equates to running just under a 19-second 100-meter sprint for females and just over a 17-second 100-meter sprint for males 422 times. So if you picture year 12 high school or, the last time you ran an athletics track over 100 meters.
Yeah.
I don't reckon my time was even close to 17 seconds. But imagine doing a 17-second 100-meter sprint 400 times.
I can't even imagine
without
doing
stopping
it one time. Honestly.
It's phenomenal how fast these guys are running. So sprinting versus running is a completely different kettle of fish. With sprinting, we're trying to utilize the hip drive for propulsion rather than getting it from the foot and ankle.
Okay.
We're using these big, powerful, fast twitch muscle fibers in the hip and the knee, and their angles are so much more. So the hip and the knee, they use a lot more of their actual joint range than recreational runners do for their ankles. So if you slow down a marathon runner and look at them from the side, their leg goes through a huge circle of movement just to take that step because they are literally flying. And their step lengths are so much bigger than a recreational runner's need to be.
Right. Okay. So this kind of shows the difference between the way you see these people running on TV compared to the way that you and I should be running.
And TV really doesn't give them justice about how fast they're going. But that's efficient for them. So they've got huge stride lengths and knees are moving massively amounts, and most of them are heel striking, and that's efficient for them.
Yeah. But
if we tried to replicate that,
we'd be booking in to see you the day after.
You'd be probably going to hospital, I reckon. So most of us getting into running are not going to be sprinting.
Yeah.
So these are the things that are important for us to get into running. We've got to think about our calf. I've mentioned it a few times.
Yeah.
But the capacity of our calf complex. So this is every muscle on the back of that lower leg. So between the knee and the ankle. It's not just the big meaty thing on the middle part of that calf, but there's a whole bunch of other little intricate muscles under there that need to be balanced and quite strong.
Mm-hmm.
Now, depending on who you talk to, the calf can take so much of your body weight in force. So up to about 5 times. Some people say it might even be up to 8 times your body weight.
Okay. Wow.
And at the end of the day, it's a massive, massive load. So we need to take care of it by making and keeping it super strong.
Yeah.
Now, we talked about the foot spring. So this is exercises like skipping and hopping and things are super important for running, just to be able to make your foot create the motion and propulsion.
Yeah.
And then your ankle needs to move, ankle range of motion. The physical ankle, if it's stiff, you're not going to be able to produce that force because it's not going to move as much.
Yeah.
So they're the main things that we need to be thinking about as recreational runners.
And then I guess, what are the other things that people are thinking about as recreational runners?
Yeah, so let's bust some myths. There's a few really common questions that we're going to break down.
Yeah.
And the first one that I've heard a lot, and probably most people ask me this one, is where should my foot hit the ground when I run? Should I be toe striker, heel striker, midfoot striker? Short answer is anywhere. It doesn't matter. So I talked about the marathon runners. A lot of them are heel strikers because they have massive stride lengths. But that's fine. Back in the day, everyone was saying, oh, don't do heel striking because you'll slow yourself down. But they're running so quickly that they're just over their foot already by the time their heel has even hit the ground.
Right. So it doesn't really matter where on your foot contacts the ground first, as long as it's efficient.
Everyone's going to be doing it a little bit differently.
Yeah.
So if I said to you, Zoe, you need to go run with a midfoot strike and your foot just didn't allow that, you would come in to me in a few months' time with an injury because I've forced you to do something your body doesn't or can't do.
Right.
So at the end of the day, your foot can contact the ground anywhere. And if your cadence is high enough and you're running quietly, play on. It's not a complex thing. I don't want to change the foot strike pattern. What you'll notice is that if you increase your cadence naturally, you will have to change where your foot hits the ground.
Right.
Because you just don't have time for a massive stride.
Yeah.
But the main thing is changing the cadence. The next question might be asked by Zoe.
I feel like I could ask this question if I was someone who would go for runs repeatedly. I feel like it's really hard to progress my speed or times. I think that's something that I've thought about.
Yep. It's annoying, right? You run all the time and then you're just not getting faster. Well, let's assume.
As people do that.
But this is where a lot of people just run themselves into the ground and start not enjoying their running because they're not progressing. So a really common question is how to progress my times. And normally the answer is they're not running efficiently.
Yeah.
And if they're not running efficiently, their body is not able to improve what we call the functional threshold.
The way that you run isn't allowing your body to improve its ability.
Yeah. So you fatigue quicker.
Yeah.
Because things are working that they shouldn't be working.
Yeah.
Essentially. Or you're not working as efficiently as possible. So again, I'm going to come back to it. Number one, improve your efficiency.
Yeah.
So
Everything
posture,
we talked about before.
Exactly. Posture, tone, elasticity, fix them up. Number two, we'll talk about this in coming episodes, but it is a concept that is becoming more popular.
Yeah.
And we'll explain why in the next few, but it's running slowly.
Yes. I have seen this one.
Yeah. There's heaps on it, but we'll go through it all later. Very, very important.
Right.
Now we get to shoes.
Yes. Okay. I actually have recently purchased a pair of running shoes.
What did you get?
I got a pair of, I get a bit nervous because everyone pronounces it differently. I got a pair of Hokas.
Ah, yes.
Yes. I did some research. I had a look around on a few different websites to see what the best shoe for me would potentially be. And that's what I landed on. And I've worn them about 3 times. Not for a run because I ended up in a knee brace. So they're looking really shiny in my room and ready to go.
Now, when I answer this question, I want you to think about if these are the things that you thought about when you were doing your research for the shoe.
Okay.
Right?
I don't think it's in my return window though.
So therefore, they're perfect shoes.
Great. Yes.
Now, the answer to this is that there isn't a perfect shoe.
Great.
Unfortunately, which is annoying. It would be nice if there was one. But what you need to do is find a shoe that is fundamentally comfortable.
Yeah.
You have to be comfortable in this shoe because you're spending some time in it and you're putting a lot of force through your foot.
Yeah.
So number one, comfort. The shoe has to be light.
Yeah.
And it has to have a wide toe box.
Yes.
So where your toes are sitting, your shoe has to allow for the toes to splay a little bit.
Yeah.
A really good example of this when you're in the shoe shop, and this is hard for buying shoes online, take the inner sole out of the shoe, put it on the ground and stand on it.
Yep.
If your toes fall outside of that inner sole, it's too small or too narrow. So you need a shoe wider or a toe box that is wider that fits your foot well.
Yeah.
And some brands have better styles than others, but it depends on your foot shape and your foot type. I don't think that we need to do any more of, support structures and anything in the shoe. Again, I'm going to polarize some people with that.
Another controversial
opinion. But we don't want to be changing the foot position while we run. We want to hero the foot. And if there's a problem with the foot, that we need to change the foot, don't change the shoe.
Yeah.
But that's for another topic. When I say wide toe box, I want you to think about the big toe should be going in a straight line. So if you think about it, the shoe should also be going in a straight line where that big toe runs.
Yeah.
And then it should run wide out to the little toe.
Right.
So most shoes, or a lot of shoes out there, actually taper to a point at the center of your foot.
Yeah.
So sort of on top of the third toe.
Yeah.
Our foot doesn't look like that. It's not a pointy thing. So we really need a nice wide toe box to allow those toes to splay with every step.
Yeah.
And the heavier the shoe, the harder it is for the body to lift it.
That makes sense.
So simple as that. So make it as light as you can while it's fitting into those criteria. So how'd we go, Zoe? Did the shoe fit the criteria?
I actually think I did a really good job with purchasing my shoes. I got some that were wider just because you've talked to me countless times about the toe box and that sort of thing.
Yep.
And I've also found that having wider shoes has been a lot more comfortable.
Yep.
And I got some that were quite light.
So the other thing as well with the shoes is the foam.
Yeah.
We're not going to go into it too much. There's so much science behind.
Do a whole episode.
We could do a whole episode, and I'll probably get Tim on the podcast to talk about it. But there's so many different foams, and they're there for different purposes. So some are more spongy, some are thicker, some are higher, and they're different for different types of running. But what we sort of generally speak, we want to what we call a daily trainer. So something you can wear kind of every day that's nice and responsive. You don't sink into it like a pillow, but it's not like a block of concrete that you can just chuck on every day. Now then you've got your specialty shoes for sprinting and interval running and pacing and that sort of stuff. So we can get into that again on that episode. But those are the main things that we're looking at. So comfortable, light, and a wide toe box.
Perfect.
One of the other questions that has been asked more recently is this carbon plate question.
Yes. I've been seeing a lot of carbon plate shoes online recently.
Yep.
And I've been a little confused about it.
Look, they're becoming so much more popular.
Yes.
And it's really tricky. Again, I'm going to polarize a lot of people here, and I apologize in advance. But the myth of the carbon plate will make me faster is false.
Oh.
The carbon plate will not do anything. It's carbon.
So is it just there for looks?
No, it does have a function, but my point there is that the foot and the body is the thing that makes the carbon respond. So the carbon itself will not make you faster.
Right, okay.
So it is... I'm going to do a little history lesson for you for a second.
Okay.
Now, carbon shoes actually came around because of the famous Eliud Kipchoge, who was the first ever human to run a marathon under 2 hours. Ridiculous feats. And this is an unofficial marathon world record because it wasn't as part of a race. Yeah, I know. So he did all of it and it wasn't a record. So it is a record. It's just not an official world record because he used car paces and pace runners and these sort of things for it. And he's specifically trained for this event. It's actually, there's a documentary on it. So anyway, Nike was his sponsor.
Yeah.
And they had to make a shoe that would hero Eliud's foot and his running style. Now, the rule in this particular event was that if this was to be a record, the shoe wasn't allowed to be custom made.
Okay.
So they had to be commercially available shoes. Now, Nike just went, okay, no worries. I'm just going to make this shoe commercially available, but I'm gonna semi-custom make it for Eliud.
Okay.
Make sure he breaks it, but I'm gonna sell it to the public.
Carbon plates for everyone.
So let's fast forward a few years. And it's the same thing. You see someone run fast and you go, he's wearing those shoes. I'm going to wear those shoes. Now I'm going to run fast, right? It kind of happens in any sport. You know, you look at a cyclist, he's riding that bike. I buy that bike. Now I'm going to ride really fast. But the body is more important than the shoe.
Yeah.
So just because the shoe it was worn by a really fast guy doesn't make you now really fast.
Right. So what is the difference between it aiding someone like a marathon runner like that versus a recreational?
Yeah, so for the carbon plate, you actually have to put so much force through it. I don't know if you've ever tried to squash carbon, but they're so rigid and stiff.
Right.
So you have to put so much force through that shoe to get any return. Now, the return is quite good you get, but you've got to drive your foot through the ground.
Right, so you've got to be kind of doing that sprinting technique that's
exactly.
elite.
You've got to sprint. Now, if you do sprint and you wear a carbon shoe, you're going to fly.
Okay.
But if you don't sprint, it's going to be really hard for you to get any sort of spring out of your ankle because you've got a carbon plate blocking it.
Yeah.
So it could actually make it harder to run. And I did a little experiment. I have a pair of carbon shoes.
Oh.
After all this.
After all opinions on them.
Yeah. So I did it as a bit of an experiment. And I said, well, while I was running my triathlons and doing that, I'm going to buy a pair of carbon shoes. Now, admittedly, I didn't train enough in them.
Yeah.
And I got some pretty horrific blisters. But I ran just a normal triathlon, Olympic distance, nothing special. And it almost added maybe 10, 12 seconds a K to my time. Yeah. And I was fit at the time. I just didn't train heaps in the shoes.
Yeah.
But they made the running so much harder.
Yeah.
So it was really interesting now I can sort of talk about it with that opinion in mind.
Yeah.
But there are so many options for carbon shoes. There's the full plate, the half plate, fiber panels through it. Like there's so many different types. And I don't want you to buy these shoes with the idea that they will make you faster.
Yeah.
They might help your efficiency and speed potentially, but you've got to be a pretty damn fast runner already to justify having these shoes. The other thing, it's super expensive as well.
Yeah.
But make what goes in them good. The shoe can't make you faster. You make you faster.
Yeah.
All right. That concludes another episode for the Movement Therapy Podcast. Thank you so much, Zoe, for sticking with me.
Thank you.
There's a lot of information in there.
It was a lot of information that I don't have a lot to provide.
But hopefully it inspires you.
Maybe I might go for a run now.
Exactly. And you got your shoes now.
I've got my shoes.
So thank you all so much for listening in. Please reach out to us on our various social media platforms, Instagram, Facebook, and our website if you have any questions or comments about this episode or other episodes in the show. It would mean so much to both of us if you could give us a rating on whatever platform you use. And if you've liked this content, please share it with anyone who is a runner, thinking of becoming a runner, hates running,
Don't send it to me.
or has never even heard of running. In the meantime, move well, move more, move for life.
Bye.